Hello, I'm Luke Darcy and welcome to the 2013 wash-up for the Brisbane Lions. Damien Barrett, their season started well by winning the NAB Cup, but it's been a rollercoaster ride ever since, and they finished the football year without a senior coach. What do you make of the Brisbane Lions this year?
They botched so many things up, Darcy. I mean, the senior coach thing was a real problem for them late in the year. The way it was handled and a club legend being knifed the way he was. But, yeah, you mentioned the NAB Cup there, but round one against the Bulldogs, lost that game and just could not get rolling at all in the early stages of the season. We saw their highs were very good, but their lows were bad, and they started early and they could not get their season going. One
of their highs, Damo, for me was the Irishman Pierce Hanley, who's turned into an outstanding player. This two-goal double late to St North Melbourne with a big come-from-behind win was absolutely outstanding. And I love the way the Irish boys play our game, and Pierce Hanley may well be on the road to be one of the best that we've ever had. Look at this goal. How much skills required. Gets around the North Melbourne skipper Swallow, sells a bit of candy around Zeeble, finishes on the run. 2 late goals, and Pierce Hanley, the hero on that occasion. A real highlight for me. What about for you?
I'll go for Brett Staker, so I just admire the way he's come back from so much adversity with knee problems. We know that he was part of the initial recruiting package of Michael Voss in the controversial year when Brendan Favola came, and he's done 2 knees since that point. He'd already done one, but that was a match-winning goal in that particular game. And I think he's been really, really good, and I'm really glad that he's been able to do it because he's a ripping guy to have around a footy club. And look, toward the end of the year, he was getting better. So there's still a little bit of life left for Brett Staker. When we thought at the start of the year, this could well be it.
You touched on the season low light for me, and that was the sacking of club icon Michael Voss, particularly when it appears the football club don't have a solid backup plan. They're now going into appointing a board and a panel to try and recruit the next coach. You would have thought if you made that decision at that stage, you would have had a clear instruction, you would have known who you're going after and known the target. It may well prove that that's the case, but I just thought the way that was handled and the exiting of Michael Voss was really, really poor and a real low light for me.
And just adding to your point there, Lee Matthews, now a club legend of that club in a coaching sense, now is challenging the board and yet has got a spot on the subcommittee to find the new coach. I don't know what they're doing, and those sorts of questions need to be asked. To me, though, their low light, amongst many, was just not getting any assistance of any significant and consistent nature for Jonathan Brown up there in the forward line. They've had it as an awareness of the club for some time, but I mean, Jordan Lyle's been tried and is unproven there. Aaron Cornelius looks as though his time could well be up at the footy club. They desperately need someone. I know you don't replace Jonathan Brown, you never do, but they need someone to at least be showing signs of coming through.
OK, who deserves a Christmas bonus for the Brisbane Lions on the back of the 2013 season? For me, I thought Matthew Leuenberger's return to fitness and form, carried the ruck stock on his own. Highly talented player, Damo. I'm sure Chris Scott said when he finished at the Brisbane Lions that he would tell his kids that he got to play with Matthew Leuenberger. That's how highly Chris Scott thought of Leuenberger's talent. At the time he was drafted, the reports were that the Brisbane Lions had another Dean Cox on their hands. Interesting here, he kicks the goal on the man I'm just speaking about, Dean Cox. So I thought he was great, and I hope he can fulfil that potential. I hope he gets 5 or 6 years injury-free now and we get to see how good he can be.
I really like Daniel Rich's season. To me, he just put together a really good season, a club that did battle for much of it. I think when he won the Rising Star a few years ago, the sort of query about him was that all we're going to get out of his career? You know, was he just one of those young guns who came in and there was going to be no great upside? Well, there has been upside, hasn't there? Yep. He's been very, very good, and I think you could make a case that this was his best season of football, and that's a good thing to say about him because he's had good seasons outside this one as well.
Yeah, I agree. There's concern that maybe he had done all his development and he was that size and maybe there wasn't any room to improve, but I agree with you. Chopping block time now. Who is maybe not going to beat the Lions next year? And an interesting one for me, and I don't 100% understand why Jared Polak picked number 5. What we have seen in the past, hugely talented, only played 1 game this year. He's a South Australian boy. There's way too much talent there for him to exit the system. Maybe, given the Adelaide Crows can't draft early, maybe there's a trade option, but you can't have a pick 5 with that sort of talent not playing. They might want to trade and see if they can get some value for him.
Yeah, I've gone down a similar path. Todd Banfield does. I recall 3 years ago thinking this guy was about to be very, very good. Managed only no games this year. Finishes this season with 53 to his name. He's a WA boy. We know that the WA clubs will try and trade in again as they always try and do, particularly West Coast on this particular trade period coming up. I reckon that's where he may see his football future be?
Yep, some currency there. Where do the Lions need to improve next year? Damo, I think it starts at board level. Angus Johnson, the president, time for him to exit. When you've got a ticket that includes Lee Matthews, you just hand over the keys and you say, thank you, Lee. Appreciate that you're ready to step up. It's as simple as that. Don't go down the fighting path. Footy clubs are hard enough at the best of times, but you need unity from board level down. It's got to start there, and the fact that one of the most revered people in the history of the game wants to get involved, well, Angus, it's time just to let Lee Matthews get in and hopefully do what he does best.
Yeah, it does. So I've already mentioned the need for a key forward to help Jonathan Brown or replace Jonathan Brown. They need it down back too, don't they? Merritt's a very, very good fullback. He needs support. Maguire's toiled really well, hasn't he, under the limiting body issues he has. And Patfull, very good player. All the best and fairest one for that footy club. They just need another one in the mix though somewhere. And I know they're hard to get, but they're all ageing. They're not yet finished, but they're all ageing and they need some support down there.
Yep, they need a new coach, Damo, and they'll have that next year. What do you see the future next year for the Lions?
I see it very similar to this year, Das. Maybe a little bit more consistency in terms of getting off to a good start in 2014, but I don't see them moving up the ladder in any great way.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's a very similar year next year for the Lions. I can't see them climbing up the ladder, but having said that, I like where they were going, and I thought Michael Voss was starting to get the best out of the group, and that to me has been one of the most remarkable stories of the year. Thank you, Damo. That's the wash-up for the Brisbane Lions in season 2013.